Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the Docs Lodge. We're going to be tackling a hot topic for today's video. If you saw my video a few weeks ago about what key Revelation song is in, you know that that is a very widely debated topic in worship. And this one is another one that's also widely debated. Although I think this one warrants more debate. It's an issue that's more important to what we do than just something trivial like what key Revelation song is in. And that is, what is a congregational key? Yes, we have all seen these discussions on Facebook, on social media, and we've probably chimed in our own opinions ourselves. There are many views on this topic. There are two main opposing ones that I have observed. You have one side that says there absolutely is a congregational key, that everything should be kept in the kind of a middle of the road range, spanning one octave. You might have heard the slogan C to shining C, which states that your lowest note is a C. For males, it'd be right below, on that first ledger line, right below the treble clef, and then going up to the third space on the treble clef. And this is almost supposed to be kind of like a blanket key that kind of covers everyone in the congregation, ensuring that everyone can sing. And then you have on the other side the view that says you're never going to accommodate everyone in the congregation, so just sing what works best for you, and then everyone else is going to follow. And I see issues with both of these sides. On the first side, I love the heart behind it. I love the intentionality in being inclusive of everyone in the congregation, but I think that this is a futile effort. I mean, you have so many different types of people, so many different types of voices. You have men, women, children, and I just don't think that one key or one range is going to be the magic bullet. Somebody is going to be left out. And then after a while, everything's going to start sounding very flat, very samey, and I think it's going to be counterintuitive to what you want to do as a worship leader, and that is to increase congregational engagement. And that includes more than just singing. You want them to be able to connect with the message that you're trying to send. And then on the other side, now I do believe that we do underestimate people in our congregation as far as their musicality is concerned. They're often more musical than what we give them credit for. However, if we're singing all these songs in their original keys, the hot way that they did it on the record, and we're doing song after song like this, there is a point where you're just going to start losing your congregation because it'll go out of their range. It's not going to be easy for them to get into, and you're just going to lose them. And so you don't want that to happen either. You want people to be all in, to be all engaged. And to be fair, there are many wide opinions that are within the spectrum. But it's so wide that it can be challenging to find out where in the spectrum you should be. And you might have guessed that my own views are kind of somewhere in between as well. And so I'm going to share with you some things that have really worked for me in my context. I'm not saying that this is the best way or the only way, but I have learned a lot over my time leading worship, and these are just some things that have helped me to best increase congregational engagement. All right, so let's get right to it. All right, so there are three main things to consider whenever you're picking your keys for your song. And the first one is going to kind of sound selfish, but bear with me here. The first thing that you need to consider is your own voice. I mean, you've got to sing. You've got to be able to survive a whole Sunday or more if you're doing multiple services. Your voice has got to make it through every single song. And so you've got to keep the health of your own voice in mind. This isn't about what sounds best for your voice. So you're not thinking, all right, which key is going to really make my voice pop out and make it sound its absolute best. Of course, we want our voices to sound good. But I'm talking more about picking keys that are going to be healthy for our voices. Whenever I first started leading worship years ago, I was really bent on trying to make all the keys congregational and do everything much lower than my voice naturally wanted to go. You see, I have a really high tenor voice. I have no problem singing like Phil Wickham, Chris Tomlin, Leland, that kind of stuff. It's really easy for me. But most people in the congregation aren't going to be able to sing like that. And so I would try taking these keys like way down beyond where my voice wanted to go. And I found that my voice would get really raw and raggedy at the end. I'd often lose my voice towards the end. And by the end of that day, it just did not feel good. And so I just came to the conclusion, I can't keep doing this. I've got to find some kind of compromise. And so that's what you can do. Like if you have a song that, let's say the original song is in B, and let's say that you think that the perfect congregational key is down G. That's 2 whole steps. That may not be feasible for your voice. And so what you can do is split the difference. Take it down to A, where you're kind of easing some things up for the congregation, but you're also allowing your own voice to be able to sing in a healthy way. Just think about it. Our voices are musical instruments given to us directly by God Himself. This is a piece of gear that we carry with us at all times. So we want to take good care of them. We want to be a good steward of what God has given us. And we're not going to be able to lead very effectively if we don't have a voice. So just keep the health of your own voice in mind. And that can kind of give you a range of keys that are possibilities for you to lead in. All right, so the second thing you want to keep in mind is something called the Tactura. And the Tactura is kind of like a range within a range. It refers to the notes that are repeated most often within a song. Now you might have thought that I was going to say you got to keep the range in mind, where the lowest note is and where the highest note is. And yeah, you do want to keep that in mind. You don't want to disregard it, but that is not as important as where the majority of the notes occur. For instance, let's take the song In Christ Alone. If you've ever looked at that song or ever led it, it's a really rangy song. And it starts off pretty low and then it gets to that really high note. Now that high note in the key that I like to do it in is the key of F. And it gets pretty darn high when you get up there. But that's just one note that's up there. And then the rest of it is actually pretty low, like here. In Christ alone, my hope is found. He is my light, my strength, my song. So that's pretty low. That's manageable for most people in the congregation. Then you get to that one place. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. So that's one little high note that's up there, but then it immediately kind of goes down. Sorry for that chord mistake in there, but you get the idea. If it's just one note that goes pretty high or that's pretty low, I'm not too worried about it. Anyone in the congregation can kind of drop out on that one note. But let's say most of the Tactura was kind of really up where that one note was. Let's say the chorus or that part of the song went like this. What heights of love, what depths of peace, when fears are stilled, when striving cease. So if it went like that, then I might want to reevaluate a few things, because that's consistently hitting those kind of higher notes that may be grating on some voices in the congregation. But because it's just one brief moment, that's only one instance of that song throughout the sections of the song where you've got that high note, then I'm not too concerned, because most of the song is pretty low, pretty moderate, and can be followed by most in the congregation. But keep the Tactura in mind. You want to find out where the most repeated notes are. Look at different song sections. There may be a dominant Tactura for the verses, like verses are often lower, and then choruses are often higher. So just kind of look where those are going to be, and that can be a good guide in helping you whenever you're picking out the right key for your songs. And then the third thing I like to keep in mind is more of an artistic thing. But what key best evokes the mood or the message of the song? So you want everything that you do to really go with what the lyrics are saying. I am all about doing musically what best serves the text or the lyrics of the song. Like if you're doing a big upbeat song, you want everything, the drum beats, the guitar patches, the keyboard sounds, You want everything to kind of go along with that mood, the message that you're trying to proclaim. If it's something more solemn, maybe more reflective, you want the sounds to reflect that. And your voice is no exception. You want to be able to convey with your voice what you're trying to say in the message of the song. So you want to keep the former two things we talked about in mind, but in keeping those in mind, you want to kind of narrow it down to a key that can best convey the message of the song. Like for a big triumphant type song, you want to be able to harness some power, some grit, and some passion in your vocal performance there. If it's something that's more subtle, something that's softer, maybe something that allows for you to have more of an understated type of tone. But pick keys that are going to convey the message so that people are not just singing along, but that people are really taking in what the words are saying, that your voice can kind of help lead them towards that. With the musical elements of worship, we want to be directing people on how they should proceed with their affections, with their thoughts, and everything. So if our voices can help them do that, then we're doing part of our job there. All right, so I've got 3 tips that should help with congregational singability and worship leader health. So if you're keeping both of those things in balance, I think you're off to a good start. So the first thing is to include variety in your song sections. Maybe you can't accomplish across-the-board singability with one song, but with what you don't do in one song, you may be able to accomplish that with the next song in the set. So have a variety of songs. Those octave jump songs are really helpful because you can often start the first time in a lower octave when the men are singing with you if you're a male worship leader, and then the women are singing above you, and then you do that octave jump when you're singing with the women and the men are below you. Don't do every song like that though. That's going to get tiring and those songs are rangy. So you can do other songs that are more limited in range. Like something that we do is we do the song No Longer Slays. Let's see, the original one, I think it's in B flat. Let me get my capo. And they kind of sing like, you unravel me with a melody, you surround me with a song. And then the chorus gets really up there. I'm no longer a slave to fear. And so, sorry about my voice, it's the morning. It's still kind of waking up. Also got my coffee right there, so. But you get the idea, just really kind of up there. But really, that song has a very limited range. It's just voiced really high. So what we like to do at our church is we take off the capo here. We take it down to the key of E. And then we kind of reinterpret it as more of a contemplative type song. More something that's more reflective, more subtle. More like this. You unravel me with a melody, you surround me with a song. Something like that. It's comfortable for most people to sing, and it serves the mood that we're trying to create there. We've kind of rearranged it to be a little bit different than how Bethel originally does it. And that's okay to do from time to time. Just kind of make it your own and bring another mood perspective, if that makes sense. In the chorus, I'm no longer a slave to fear, and I am a child of God. And then we get to that bridge later on, and here we have the opportunity to kind of get more into kind of the original grittiness of the song. That part where it goes, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. And then later it goes, I am a child of God. And you can get more of that power that you heard from the original version. So stuff like that can really help serve the song. You're providing some good singability, but you're also creating opportunities to kind of dig into what the lyrics are saying and really bring them to life, in part by the way you're using your voices. So keep a good variety where you're throwing lots of different types of things, because you have lots of different people in your congregation. If you're doing that sea to shining sea thing, there's going to be a group of people who are always at a loss because everything's going to be in that one range and they'll never get that thing that really suits them. So just have that variety of stuff in your mix. So the second tip, feel free to cheat a little bit on some of the stuff. Wait, what are you talking about there? Cheat? Yeah, you don't have to reproduce every single note the way it is on the recording. I mean, you do want to keep everything where it's recognizable, but like let's say there's one note that's just out of your range. You can pick either a higher note or a lower note that can harmonize with that, and it won't detract too much from the original melody in most cases. For instance, let's take the song Before the Throne of God Above. It's a really rangy song, and hear this opening part. Before the throne of God above. So I actually hit it better than I normally do just now. But in many cases, especially as the day goes on, as the service goes on, I lose a lot of those lower notes. And even still, it's not a great sound. And so what I like to do is whenever we do that song, before the throne of God above. So I'm just harmonizing with that first note by singing the D above that A. And that doesn't take hardly anything away from the original melody. A lot of people in the congregation are still going to be singing the original note, and that's okay, because it blends really nicely with it, and you're not having to adjust the keys at all, because that B section of the song gets pretty high, and I don't want to push that too much beyond what it already is. So just by cheating a little bit, I can still make things really singable and healthy for me at the same time. And kind of on the other side of cheating is taking liberties. Not so much doing something because it's out of your range, but doing something else because it gives you more power than what this range allows. Like for the song You're Beautiful from Phil Wickham. There's that one part where it gets really big, really high energy, and it's like this. When we arrive at eternity's shore, where death is just a memory and tears are no more. So that's fine. I can sing that at all. It's not uncomfortable for me to sing. And it's great for the earlier parts of the song. But for this part, it's so epic and triumphant that I need some more oomph in that part of the song. So what you can do is if you have another singer, have them hold down the melody for it, where the melody is still there, the congregation can follow along with that, but you can kind of harmonize above that, going with the original melody. So something like this. When we arrive at eternity's shore, where death is just a memory and tears are no more. Something like that. I get a lot of good power out of that. I can lead effectively, and the original melody is still intact because someone else is taking that. And that leads me to the next tip, which is hand it off to someone else. This could be part of a song. Like let's say the chorus is great in your voice for you to sing, but the verses are a little bit too low. There's a few songs like that with the songs that we do at our church. So oftentimes I'll have one of my female singers take the verse, and then I'll come in on the choruses. It's good for the congregation to see someone else lead anyway, and it kind of eases me from having to go down there, and it saves the work of having to change the key. So I love this way of solving this problem because we're getting to use teamwork. We're utilizing more of the body of Christ to help build up the church and serve them in this way. So I love this way of approaching the issue. You can also hand off an entire song to someone else. There's some songs that I love that are great songs, but they just work better with someone else's voice. And so just hand that off to them. If you have a singer, it could be another male singer that has a different voice than you, or a female singer. Hand it off to them, and oftentimes they can lead it better than you can because their voice, the timbre of their voice, serves it really well, and it can serve a portion of the congregation that you can't naturally serve because your voice is different from theirs. So have some different singers take different songs or different song sections, and that can really accomplish some more things than you trying to do a lot of stuff yourself. So rely on teamwork, work with one another to accomplish this greater goal of glorifying God and pointing your congregation towards the glory of God by making it easier for them to get into and really working towards that congregational engagement. So a few final thoughts. Just remember that you're not going to be able to accommodate every single person in the congregation every Sunday. I mean, I've had people say to me, the songs you lead are a little bit high. And then at the same time, someone else comes to me and says, man, the songs that you lead are really in the perfect range for my voice. So it's like one of those catch-22 things. But just do the best you can. And I believe that if you're really working to serve the congregation and you're being a good steward of what God gave you, I believe that God's going to recognize that. And I believe that the congregation will go with you and follow your leadership. Has this helped you at all? Let me know in the comments, or if you have anything else that you can add to the discussion that can help increase singability for the congregation while also keeping your voice intact. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe and to give a thumbs up and click on the bell icon so you can receive notifications about when this channel is putting out new content. All right, well, we'll see you guys next time, and Lord bless.